As you guys know, at some point in your 20s, you get hit with that side hustle itch. You start scrolling, watching videos, and everyone's telling you to start one, but nobody actually breaks down which ones are worth your real time and which ones just eat up your evenings for basically nothing. And the truth is, a lot of them either eat up way more hours than they actually pay out, or they look impressive in a screenshot, but don't translate into real consistent money once you actually try them yourself. So, in today's video, we're going to look at the tier list of side hustles actually worth your time in your 20s. And stick around for the one at the bottom. There's a good chance you're already doing it without realizing it's actually the weakest option on this entire list. Let's get into it. To start off this list, we have freelancing with a skill you already have. Writing, editing, graphic design, video editing, or even just being organized enough to manage someone's inbox and calendar for them. I'm putting this first because it's the closest thing to a straight trade of your time for real money without needing to buy anything or build an audience first. If you're just starting out doing virtual assistant work, the going rate on platforms like Upwork usually sits somewhere around $15 to $25 an hour, and that climbs into the 30s and beyond once you've actually got a few clients and some reviews behind you. Now, I'm not saying this is easy money. You do have to actually be good at something and know how to sell that skill. But a lot of these clients aren't actually looking for the most experienced person available. They're looking for someone who shows up on time and communicates clearly, which is honestly a lower bar than most people assume before they try it. But the biggest advantage here is that this scales with your ability, not with luck. So if you already have something you're decent at, this is usually the fastest way to turn your 20s into real income instead of just hours on a platform. Next up is reselling and flipping. And this one gets slept on because it sounds like a hassle, hunting through thrift stores, garage sales, or clearance racks, and reselling it on Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark, or Mercari. But the margins on this can actually be really solid if you know what sells in your area and you're willing to put in the legwork. The startup cost is basically whatever you spend on your first few items, so you can start with $20 or $30 if that's all you've got. The trade-off is time. You're the one hunting, listing, photographing, and shipping everything, so this rewards people who actually enjoy the hunt part of it. If that sounds tedious to you, this drops fast on your personal list. If you actually like the process, this can turn into real consistent money that most people walk right past without noticing. Next thing on this list is renting out your car through something like Turo, and this one is close to passive once it's actually set up. You're not trading hours for dollars here. You're letting an asset you already own work for you while you're not using it. Turo's own numbers put average host earnings around a few $100s a month per car, sometimes closer to $600 once you factor in their standard revenue split, and it can go higher than that depending on your city and the type of car you have. Now, this obviously isn't going to replace a full income, and there's a real trade-off here with wear and tear on your car and occasionally dealing with a renter who doesn't treat it the way you would. But if your car is sitting in a driveway most of the week anyway, this is about as close to free money as anything on this list. Next up is renting out space you already have. And I'm not talking about your car this time. I'm talking about an empty garage, a driveway, extra storage space, or even a parking spot if you live somewhere. Parking is genuinely hard to find. There are apps built specifically for this that let people list unused space the same way Airbnb lets you list a room. It's genuinely one of the most passive options on this entire list because once it's listed, you're not doing much beyond occasionally responding to a message. The catch is this one only works if you actually have space to spare, so it depends a lot on your living situation, and honestly isn't available to everyone the way freelancing is. Next thing I wish more people did in their 20s is tutoring or teaching something they already know. And this doesn't have to be some formal subject like calculus or chemistry. It can be a language, an instrument, a software program, or even just helping someone study for a test you've already taken and done well on. The pay varies a lot depending on the subject and whether you're doing it online or in person, but it's one of the few side hustles where you're getting paid for knowledge that's already sitting in your head, not new time you have to invest learning something from scratch. The trade-off is you do need to actually be good at explaining things clearly, not just good at the subject itself, because those are two different skills. Next up is local task-based gigs. Think assembling furniture, helping someone move, hanging shelves, that kind of work. There are apps built around exactly this, and they let you set your own rate. So if you're decent with your hands, this can pay noticeably better per hour than most entry-level jobs. The downside is it's physical, it's inconsistent depending on demand in your specific area, and you're trading actual hours of labor directly for the money. So unlike freelancing or renting out something you own, this one doesn't really scale. It just pays fairly for the hours you're willing to put in. Next thing on this list is pet sitting and dog walking through apps like Rover or Wag. And this is one of the more pleasant ways to make extra money in your 20s if you actually like animals. Since you're getting paid to do something that barely feels like a job most days, the pay usually depends on your city and whether you're doing a quick walk or an overnight stay. But consistent 5-star reviews build your client base fast, and a lot of people end up specifically requesting the same sitter every time once they trust you with their dog. The downside is, this is capped by your own schedule. You can only watch so many animals or take so many walks in a single day, and demand tends to spike around holidays and summer travel and go quiet the rest of the year. So this is a solid, low-stress way to bring in consistent extra cash. It's just never going to be the thing that scales into something much bigger. Next thing on this list is content creation. YouTube, faceless channels, whatever niche you're actually into. And I want to be honest about this one because most people go into it expecting quick money, and that's just not how it works in reality. The first several months are usually close to zero income while you figure out what actually works for your specific niche and audience. But the reason this still earns its spot on this list is that once something does start working, it scales in a way almost nothing else here does. Since you're not trading additional hours for additional views the way you would with a delivery gig, this is a longer bet than everything else on this list. But for the right person, willing to stick with it past the part where nothing seems to be working, it pays off completely differently than the rest. And most platforms actually reward consistency far more than raw talent in the beginning. So people who keep showing up and posting regularly tend to pull ahead of people who are naturally more talented but inconsistent about it. Next up is print on demand and drop shipping. And I'll be straight with you, this one gets oversold constantly online. The pitch sounds great. You set up a store, someone else handles the product and the shipping, and you just focus on marketing it. But the actual margins after ad spend are usually a lot thinner than the videos promoting this make it seem, and most of the money you bring in during the early months goes right back into ads just to get anyone to see your store in the first place. It's not that it's impossible. Some people genuinely do make it work, but the barrier here is almost entirely on the marketing side, not the business idea itself, so don't go into this expecting it to be easy money just because the setup is easy. And this is that one I mentioned at the start. To round out this list, we have food delivery and rideshare apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats. And look, these are genuinely useful if you need cash fast and don't have a specific skill to sell yet. Most reports put gross pay somewhere around $15 to $25 an hour. But once you actually factor in gas, wear on your car, and the self-employment tax you owe on that income, most drivers are realistically netting closer to $10 to $15 an hour. That's not bad for same-day cash when you're in a pinch. But this is also the one hustle on this entire list that doesn't get better over time the way the others do. Your 100th delivery pays about the same as your first one. There's no compounding here at all. So I'd treat this as a bridge to get quick cash, not something to actually build your 20s around. So that concludes my tier list for side hustles, actually worth your time in your 20s. There's the ones that reward a skill you already have, like freelancing and tutoring. The ones that reward an asset you already own, like your car or your space. And then there's the ones that just reward raw hours, like delivery apps, which are fine in a pinch, but won't really change your trajectory. The main thing I want you guys to take away from this is that the best side hustles either use something you already know or something you already own, instead of just trading more hours of your day for a little extra cash. None of these are going to make you rich overnight. And honestly, that's not really the point of a side hustle in the first place. It's about building an extra stream of income while you're still young enough to experiment and figure out which one actually fits your life. So let me know in the comments which one of these you've actually tried. And if you like this tier list and want to see more of them, hit the like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.